Hi, kitty cats. The past week was decidedly difficult, and even though I try not to hide from the news, I want to take a break from it today. So instead, I invite your questions on the experience of gender transition. From social transition to medical transition, I'll do my best to answer anything you've got. And as a reminder, I am a member of the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, that's WPATH, and I can address at least some questions from the standard of care. So let's jump into the transgender experience, and then we'll play some Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood at the end of this, too. Let me first say hello to Margie. Good to see you there. Hi, Margie. A beautiful spring day in Zealandia. Sounds lovely. I know we're going into autumn here. It's always crazy to think that, Southern Hemisphere is totally different. But, so here's my little live stream opening stuff. I am Dr. Amethysta Herrick. I am an author. I am a podcaster. I am also a certified hypnotist. I discuss identity and gender from a scientific standpoint, and sometimes mystical and philosophical, but that's what I do. You can check this link below for more information about me and the work I do. You can see the URL purplepodclan.com. If you go there, you will be able to follow me on all of the social media networks that you're on and that I'm on. There's got to be an overlap. But you can also see the podcasts that I record, the articles that I write. So you can do that. That's at that website. So if you like this content, I hope you'll consider subscribing at purplepodclan.com. You can get a subscription for as low as $5 a month. That will support me. But you can also just sign up for the newsletter, and then you can hear like all the wacky things that I'm doing. Because I got some crazy things going on this month in particular. That I have a newsletter coming out next week. So anyway, check that out. I also like to publish articles and podcasts by other contributors, so if you're interested in contributing your original work, has to be original, work about identity and gender, you can email me again, and guess what? That's the same website. There's a contact page. There you go. All right. Oh, my wife's here. Hello. Hello, Ildiko Herrick. So I do want to take questions. Anybody, if you have a question, please drop them in the comments below. I want this to be a conversation, and I do have a few things that I can talk about. If you don't have a question right off the top of your head, I have some things I wanted to talk about. But before I go into those, I do want to make a couple of quick comments about the week. I just want to address a couple of topics. So first of all, what happened in this past week? Why do I want to take a break from the news? There was a school shooting in Colorado. Now, I live in Colorado. It turns out this was actually pretty far away from me, but there was nothing good about children hurting each other, especially when I believe it could be completely avoidable by controlling guns more closely. Maybe you noticed that news there, perhaps you didn't even hear about it because it's been completely dwarfed by the assassination. I'm going to use that word, the assassination of Charlie Kirk in Utah at a rally. Now, there's a lot to be said, I think, about any politician, any pundit who claims to protect children and then completely ignores like a school shooting, all right? And then goes on to glorify the person who called some gun deaths acceptable in order for us to have guns in the first place. I don't want to talk about that. Sometime in this next week or so, Matt Adlint and I, assuming Matt still wants to do it, we're probably going to have another conversation about the Second Amendment, and we can talk about it then. But I don't want to do it this week. Last week, maybe you saw my live stream, and I did talk about the Second Amendment, and I made fun of the way Charlie Kirk looks. So I took that down. Because I thought it was inappropriate. So I took it down. Like I said, I intend to have another discussion maybe next week. I will say this. I do not agree with Charlie Kirk. The reason why I took it down is not because I agree with Charlie Kirk. His opinions are not mine. And it is never moral to initiate the use of physical force against another person. Period. There were students at the college campus where Charlie Kirk gave a speech and then ultimately was assassinated. They protested, signed a petition, We need to do what happened here. Regardless of who Charlie Kirk was, I do not believe his death solves anything, and I took down my video out of respect for the loss of human life. Okay. That was everything I wanted to say. Today I want to answer questions. Like I said, I got a few topics I can prattle about. Hopefully it's fun. Then we can play some Cosmic Wheel, Sisterhood, and hopefully answer the question, what is it that Fortuna wanted to be? What could it be? All right, let me jump through some comments here. Margie, yeah, Christmas and high summer. So Christmas and high summer, she says, is awesome. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to turn on comments there. Sorry. Christmas and high summer, I'm sure is, awesome. I grew up in Los Angeles, right? I mean, there were so many times it was like 75 degrees. Oh, sorry, if you're not using freedom units, it was like, 25 Celsius, on Christmas. So it's like summer on Christmas that was obvious now, but let me see. Hi, Thistle. I see Thistle is here. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to answer what is my name, my quest, and my favorite color. Just can't do it. Oh, Ella's here. Hello, Ella. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh yeah, Thistle, it does kind of show the priorities of what's going on there. Yes, yeah, state of gun violence is revolting. I'm gonna leave this a little bit. All right, I will read this one, and then I'm done. Ella says she doesn't feel bad for Charlie Kirk. How many immigrants have died in Trump's death camps and they're upset about one person? Well, I'm going to go back to what Thistle said. And then we can talk about it maybe next week. All right, let me see. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, I mean, if you have questions other than my name and everything, but, oh, this is awesome. Yeah, Margie says she speaks Fahrenheit, but it sounds even more impressive in Rankine. Yeah, if you're doing like a Kelvin, yeah, that's the way to make it sound good. To be, it's 400 some odd degrees out there, and people go, dang, that's hot, and you go, well, yeah, but 77 is the boiling point of liquid nitrogen, so let that mean what it does. Anyway, yesterday I went to a festival. I actually left the house, which I know is sort of somewhat of a surprise for me, but I left the house. I went to a cheese and chocolate festival. Cheese and chocolate festival. No kidding. They had, I don't know, 30 or so, 30, maybe 40 vendors selling either cheese or chocolate, right? And then you could go around to get a bunch of samples. And I'm going to tell you, that was something, a thought that I just had though. They probably wanted, like, as you were leaving the building, they probably want to give you like samples of some sort of, fiber supplement, psyllium husks, Metamucil, I don't really care. But anyway, cheese and chocolate festival. It was fun. There was somebody that I met there who went by the name at this point. Oh, is it staticky sounding? God damn, I meant to, hang on. Maybe this is better. Hopefully that's better, Thistle. Let me know. But I went to this thing, and there was a lady there who went by the name Miss Babette Bonbon. All right, so she was a lot of fun. She's a person who she's like an MC for events, and she plays a few characters. And I actually posted, if you follow me on Blue Sky, which, you probably ought to anyway, I posted a couple of pictures. And actually looking at it too, I was like, wow, I really am somewhat plain looking when I stand next to Babette. Oh, good. I'm glad that fixed everything. When I stood next to Babette Bonbon. So anyway, she's got like pink hair. She had this whole outfit, like makeup and nails. And oh, hey, Matt. Matt Adlin's here. Yeah, she had these beautiful nails, and she had like glitter red lipstick. It was a ton of fun. Oh, her dress had like chocolates, like pastries and stuff on. It was so much fun. And for what it's worth, I actually, I saw her on the website, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to need to do this. I'm going to have to see if I can find her. And I was hoping I would. And then I thought, we're walking around. I'm like, oh, dang, I didn't see her. Then finally I did. I'm like, oh, I got to go talk to her. Because here's the thing. I love characters like that. She has like 4 or 5 of them. Miss Babette Bonbon was one. She was at a unicorn festival, where she was Princess Penelope Palisade. That'll be good. There's a cat show, a cat festival, actually. Cat Fest, Colorado. Yep. That's going to be in November. And she's going to be Priscilla Posley. It took me a while to get that one, but I get it. Priscilla Presley, because I finally saw an outfit and I went, oh, that's okay, got it. And then she also goes by Fanny Spankings, as far as I know, which is kind of fun. Anyway, as much as I actually, when I look the way I do, because this is the way I want to express myself, right? And yet, it always seems I end up looking like some kind of character. There was I can't remember if I mentioned this ever, but I went to a Comic-Con. Well, I think it was just last year. It was last summer. We'd just come back from Thailand, not long after, and I'm walking around and somebody says, "Hey, what's your character?" And I go, what do you mean? I'm like looking around, just, what do you mean who's my character? So it's just me. I was wearing my little cat shoes and I have my hair and everything. And, but they're like, oh, you need to come in and, let's take some pictures. Cause you seem like a character. And I'm like, okay. So, but when I meet people, and here's the point, when I meet people who do it for real, I'm always super intrigued. I'm like, oh gosh, I want to do this. And there's a magician / comedian named Carissa Hendricks. And she does the same. She never does magic as Carissa Hendricks. She has several characters. And one of them is Lucy Darling, who's another one. Look up Lucy Darling on YouTube. You will be glad you did. So, anyway, I went to the Cheese and Chocolate Festival. Even though I ate a bunch of cheese and chocolate, which it's hard really to say no to that. Again, I wish that they had, maybe handed out fiber supplements at the end, but the real high point was meeting Miss Babette Bonbon. So Babette, I don't think you're watching, but if, that was great. I can't wait to go to this cat show, in part because I want to see her again. I mean, I think we all know I love cats too, but I also love characters. So there you go. Matt, thank you so much for the gifts. I truly appreciate that, All right, let me see. Where do we go? Yes, I'm telling you. So Alice says it sounds like a lot of fun. My wife sent me a link and I'm like, is that really for real? Like, can you have a cheese and chocolate festival? But there you go, ads. Pageant with Sames. Hello, Pageant. It's good to see you. I'm so glad to meet you here. That's great. Tell me more. I'd love to hear some more. Love to hear some more about you. Let's see. Ella says it's impossible not to have cheese. I love cheese so much. Oh my gosh. Let's see. So now we have Lady Stan. Hello, first of all, Lady Stan. Asks the question. Well, here we go. Let me pop it up because it's easier. How do I carry on? I've been transitioning for a while, but just get so depressed. This is a really good question. One of the things that I do, first of all, is try to look for positive news. And I don't know if you've seen, I do videos on Fridays, usually Fridays or Saturdays, that is Transgender Joy. And I try to get 3 positive news stories that turn into some sort of a theme, That, helps me, because I'm going to tell you this too. There's a lot of hate going on right now. I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. Sorry. There's a lot of hate going on, and I think it's really easy to end up thinking that that's the norm. But I'm going to tell you it wasn't. When I first started transition, most people were very, very supportive, extremely supportive. And when I go out in public now, I mean, even people who find out later on that I did transition gender, most of them say, wow, look at you. Good on you. I'm so glad that you did that. There is no dearth of opportunities to talk about being transgender, transitioning gender. People want to know and people care. So I don't know how well this is going to help you. but I hope that this does something for you. We, as hard as this sounds, especially when you look at every finger in the room pointed at you, it is first of all worth it, and most people will be glad that you did it. Most people will be happy for you. Yeah, I mean, so Ella says, remember, there's still a lot of good people out there. Very, very true. I would say most. I mean, I could throw down a couple of statistics. I mean, when you look at Generation Z, so if Gen Z is not necessarily out of their parents' houses yet, and I found a statistic that says 9 out of 10, okay, 9 out of 10 of their parents, the parents of transgender children, support them wholeheartedly. And I know you go, well, my parents didn't, so, thanks a lot. I got the 1 in 10. But this is a change. You think when you see, on all the comments that we get from politicians. I'm trying really hard not to drop names. The point is that, and I've got a great statistic here from Matt, by the way, that I'll say. The point is that you hear these comments and you think, oh, we're so hated, but we're not. And I'm going to tell you too, it was totally worth it for me. I mean, I didn't transition until I was 52 years old. So now I'm 55. And at 55, I'm like, wow, I have an actual life. Like, I want to be around. I want to live. It's completely, completely worth it. So I know it's depressing. I know it can get depressing. And I'm not going to kid you, I still get depressed. It's not a panacea. You don't stick on an estrogen patch and go, woo, all of my problems are gone. But I will tell you, I can handle my problems better now. And just living as the person I am has been nothing short of, amazing. Here is a great statistic that Matt posted on another streaming platform here. Unfortunately, doesn't integrate into the comments there. But Matt says in September of 2024, 62% of Republicans, okay, said that attacks on transgender people went too far. Now, 2 months later, right, 6 weeks later or so, Trump was elected president. So that says something. If 62% of Republicans, even right before an election, said that those attacks went too far, I think that means something. I really think it does. Hello, Miranda Rose. I'm glad to see you there. So Ella says, remember, there's still a lot of good people out there. Very true. Thistle says whenever she gets picky over herself and how she looks, she reminds herself that that's the sort of misogynistic things incels think women should be. Spot on there, right? True. There are millennials who aren't quite out of their parents' houses either. All right, let me see. What else do we have? Yes, a small number of people that hate us. And I don't know if they hate us, for what it's worth. Hey, Genevieve. Okay, good. So Lady Stan says, I'm going to assume she, her pronouns on you. Let me know if I'm wrong. But she's been transitioning 3 or 4 years. At 22, that's great. God, you got to start at 18. Oh, it's so amazing. And I'm going to tell you, so you're saying this, you're saying you've made many mistakes. Hey, Miss Chief, good to see you. There is absolutely no way to do this wrong. I'm telling you. Matt says he's Gen X and would live with his parents if he could. I think I'd love to live with somebody but it wouldn't be my parents. I'll tell you that. If somebody else took care of me. Oh wait, that's my wife. Here we go. So you were able to start at 18. Mistakes to me is like the way that we grow up. When I started at 52, for what it's worth, when I started at 52, I also, I had been dressing, in ladies' clothes for a long time. And I spent a lot of, okay, your name is Alice. Thank you. So Alice, I had spent a lot of time in graduate school dressing, in high school, as an undergraduate. So I had a long, long time. So the point is that I still had to figure out what, that was literally 30 years ago. So, but I had to figure out how my makeup was going to look good. I had to figure out, how was I going to grow nails? Did I, clothes? I have to figure all of this out because that's what everybody does. And we do this for the rest of our lives. It's not like we make a choice and we go, well, that's it. Never going back. We change all our lives. So even if you're calling them mistakes, what I would call it is just natural growth. And I think that's good. So I will tell you one thing, Alice, if you want to reach out to me, I do have a contact page there. And I would love to talk to you. If you want to talk to me, I'm here for you. So, baby girl, look at this Thistle baby. Thistle's calling her baby girl. I think that's funny. I think it's funny because I'm still quite a bit older than you, Thistle. But Chiefy and I are some of the older guard. But true, yeah, Margie. Oh, this is great. This is so good. There we go. Remember that you have both the vision to imagine the best possible version of yourself and the audacity to make that ideal self real. Whew, that was such a good statement, Margie. I love that. I'm all over it. Okay, it's true. Oh, yeah, it's true. Margie, you and I started about the same. I forgot. Oh, Miranda, this is another really good point too. Transitioning has allowed many of her personal issues to fall away, and many more come to the surface. True. That's another interesting tidbit too. I thought, as soon as I get rid of gender dysphoria, I'm perfect, right? I'm golden. And then, unfortunately, what happened was, the gender dysphoria went away, and then I had to deal with all of the issues that had, come together in 52 years, and it really sucked. But at least I have the ability to handle a little bit better. So thank you on that one too, Miranda. Born in August. Wait, why are we? Oh my gosh. This is there's a whole lot of comments here that I'm missing. So love the name Baby Girl. I like that one too. All right, let me see. Oh, here's another one from Miranda. Matt says he's 46, been on T for 46 years. Yeah. Oh, good, Miranda. Thank you so much. There's another one that says, that says what I'm saying. So when Miranda came out, and by the way, I know Miranda. Miranda lives down the road from me, down the road quite a ways, but. When Miranda came out, friends and family, even in public, in work and even in public, she experienced overwhelming support. Yeah, I think it's totally true. You do have to avoid the online hate. Good thinking. Oh, thank you. Oh, I look super radiant. Thank you. It's all about it's all about living as yourself. The purple hair is not easy. I'm going to my hairstylist on Tuesday though, so that'll be fun. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. All right. Here's, as long as we're talking about like radiant whatever. Oh, hang on. I'm going to show this because here we go. Oops, wrong one. 99% of the hate online is coming from less than 1% of the population. I would probably say that's accurate. I'm pretty confident that's accurate because holy cats, it just seems like most people don't. Oh, I didn't even throw out more statistics. So 9 out of 10 parents, right? 9 out of 10 parents support their children. And one of the things that I saw recently, I think it was in maybe the last 6 months or so. I know it was since Trump's inauguration. I don't remember the exact number. It was close to 3 out of 4, okay? 3 out of 4, 75% of people think that the government should have no say in a person's identity. No say. So anything, if you speak Spanish, that also means I don't know. But anyway, the point is most people say that they don't want people they don't want the government to regulate people. So, I think it's a great point to keep in mind. And here's another one. says Haru that can read. I'm glad you can read. That's so good. Most people seem pretty indifferent to queer people. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be sarcasm or not, but truly, I would guess. With all the numbers that we have, the real numbers of the queer community is close to 1 in 4. I'm guessing it's probably close to 25% because that's the way we are. And I think a lot of the people who do get so frightened by transgender people or by, in general, queer people, I think that they are afraid of themselves. Carl Jung, had a whole bit. I'm just looking up, seeing if I have the book. I don't have that particular book, but this whole, he had a whole theory about the shadow. The shadow is the one thing that when we see it in other people, we hate it because we know we're part of it. So, yeah. All right. This is good, though. Look, see your grandmother. Your grandmother is 86 and super supportive. Well, I wish I could say that, but there are as many trans people as hardcore trans haters. I think that's probably true, Margie. Actually, so here we go. More statistics. Why not this? More statistics. If you look at the general census numbers, we're seeing somewhere around 1%. I've seen it anywhere from 0.8% of U.S. population, not global, but U.S. population, 0.8% to 1.3%, depending upon what census you look at and depending upon who's interpreting some of these numbers. If you cut out everybody except for Gen Z at this point, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, that goes up to closer to, it's more than 3%. 3.3% is what we're looking at, is what I've seen. That means that I would guess on the order of more like 7 to 8%, maybe as much as 10% of people would identify as gender non-conforming. I don't want to say conforming, gender diverse, because it's just going to be more safe. They feel more safe to do so. I think right now we're not seeing numbers that indicate the number of people, but rather the number of people who feel it's safe enough to say who they are. So I am so running out of I actually really like this. Here's a bit too. When I came out, all three of my sisters said something exactly the same. They said basically, well, yeah, of course. And I was like, gosh, you've known this whole time? Jeez. Hey, Minnie. Minnie just joined. Good to see you, Minnie. What did Matt say that was good? Went hard ally when his... Oh my gosh, look at this. Your father is a boomer and went hard ally. I gotta admit, I'm surprised by that one. We found out your cousin's spouse and all, but intersex people are definitely out there. What else do we have? So many things. Oh, here we go. Look at this. It's funny. I gotta tell you, when RuPaul, I thought RuPaul was great. And then all of a sudden, at one point, RuPaul was like, I'm going to go on TV. And I was like, oh, God, what are you doing? But the funny thing is that RuPaul's Drag Race kind of has helped a lot. People are watching this and going, oh, well, these are not transgender people. This is different from what I knew. And so I think there's actually been a lot of good that's come out of RuPaul's work here. Now I'm saying this, when I lived in Georgia, I knew people who knew RuPaul, or I guess Paul at the time, and I did not. I never did meet them. I wish I had, but anyway, there you go. What else do we have here? Super close. Yeah. So I don't disagree. Yeah, it's about 5% and rising. A lot of what I'm looking at is census numbers. These are sort of the mid-census type numbers that are being done here, and I was not surprised. I'm like, well, 3.3, yeah. I think the thing is that when we use the term gender diverse or gender nonconforming, you're saying I like gender diverse only because like the idea. So nonconforming means that there is a standard to which we should conform, and so I don't like that. I like to use the term gender diverse because what that means is that all we do is we're just different from how we made different choices than other people. But for what it's worth, every single one of us does, right? That's not something like mystical. That's not something that you don't see every day. This is something that, you know, yeah, from dare I say Charlie Kirk, to me, yeah, we've made different decisions. But then we can also say I know very well Donald Trump's wearing makeup. That's a gender affirming care. I've used these before. Elon Musk, who got facial masculinization surgery, who got hair plugs. This is the international sign for hair plugs, by the way, just so you know. All of that. So there's some interesting talk going over in another platform here. Golden goddesses, man with a golden trouser snake. There we go. Let me see. Oh, your parents live up to their Christian values. I'm going to tell you, it's fun. I'm going to put these both up. My parents have always lived up to their Christian values. I'm lucky. They believe in love thy neighbor. How in the world has that sort of slipped away from Christianity? I don't get it. Oh, I see what you're. So I like this. So this is a good point. Thistle says the gender nonconforming feels like there's a deliberate choice to rebel with gender expression, whereas gender diverse, it feels like nature. And here's the thing: what I would rather do, I mean, this is my own opinion. What I would rather have was for it to be nature. I don't like the idea that somebody can say, well, you're doing something I wouldn't do. And I feel bad about that. I would rather, when I've talked about gender dysphoria as a common and typical human experience, that's because I think that's important. I mean, every single person, I believe, goes through some form of gender dysphoria. Whether it's chronic, like I had, or not, is debatable. But I believe very strongly that everybody has at least one situation that they can point to in their life and go, ooh, yeah, that was really tough. Ooh, yeah, now I understand you a lot better. So so I would rather have it be normal. I used to have business cards on it. I haven't used this phrase in a while, but I used to have business cards on it that said making transgender normal since 2022. So yes, gender is a multi-dimensional cloud. Where was this? A super-dimensional hyperspace. I love referring to, well, so here we go. So the thing is what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? She's I am all natural. And you can look at her hair and go, sweetheart, we know very well that is not natural. Lauren Boebert, who's in Colorado, who's been very critical of gender affirming surgery. Apparently has had not just a facelift, but also a boob job. Same thing. What's the difference? This was actually, what the hell did I say it was? Oh, hair plugs. Forgot entirely. All right. So read the news. Wait a minute. Wait. Is this for real? Congregations are rebelling. So read the news around the Southern Baptist Convention. They've been in a crisis for years now. Congregations are rebelling because they think Jesus' teachings are too woke. It's your fucking religion. Holy cats. You go, I really want to be a follower of Jesus, but I don't know. I just can't. It's kind of a lot, to say something like love your brother and stuff like that's too much. Love your neighbor. Oof. Oh, here we go. Look at this. I was talking about a point in my life where I wondered if I was experiencing gender dysphoria just yesterday. I bet. Here we go. I love this too. I'm going to tell you. So, Miranda, I agree with you. I think that being transgender is a superpower. I think it's somewhat of a privilege. It is definitely a gift, although I don't know if it's a gift necessarily to us as transgender women. But I do think that we're very important to society because I've had conversations with people where they go, well, you still have this, all of this privilege. And, I started off not really having a lot here, really, because people could always tell there was something different about me. They could take advantage of me. They could shout me down. People could always tell. So where was I going with this? Where I'm going with this is that I've now had conversations with people, women in particular, in the technology industry. And they've gone, well, did you ever have this experience? Did you have this experience? Did it change? Has it changed? And the thing is that I can actually look at life from both sides now. Sorry, everybody. But it's true. We have the ability to see more than the normal person does. The normal person only ends up with one experience. That's really important. And it's important for evolution of a society. We can't evolve a society unless we have some people who understand what it might be to change something. That's us. We are very much, going to be at the front line of a new society. Absolutely. So, a lot of things about Jesus. Gender is timey-wimey bullshit. See, to me, it's just, how do I want to look beautiful? How do I want to be myself? I cannot believe that. I mean, I can, but it's hilarious. All right, what do we got? This is your Gen S. Here we go. Where's so here we go. Most women hate trans women because deep down they hate women in general. My opinion is that they don't. What they're more concerned with is is somebody who is willing to take what should have been the best possible accomplishment you could make in Western society, right? To be born a man, because this is Western society. They take what they say, you should have loved this, and you don't. What the hell? And what we do is challenge. So we challenge that notion, and then people are like, maybe I shouldn't think that. When we challenge people's very, very deep-seated assumptions, and the really deep-seated assumption of Western society is that being born a man is just, the best thing you could possibly do. When we challenge that, I think people go, yikes, yeah, you're challenging our entire society. So, all right, let me see. Some Western cultures. Oh, I missed some superpower. Yeah, I mean, here we go. Oh, see, yes. I'm gonna get to you, Thistle. I saw your I saw your question. So Haru says, in non-Western cultures, gender diverse and third gender people were seen as important spiritually and culturally. It is a superpower to some extent of the phrase. Yes. I'm going to tell you, you don't have to go back that far. Celtic cultures believe very strongly the people who were liminal, so people who were either homosexual or transgender. So Celtic cultures did, but so did Roman cultures. In Greek cultures, there are gods and goddesses that spanned some of that, could change. Obviously, in Indian culture, there we see gods and goddesses that change. We see not even just gods and goddesses, but even like the Mahabharata, we see characters that change sex and gender multiple times. It was a superpower. It's important to be able to have a holistic experience of humanity, and that's how you were able to help other people. It was a superpower. It's really only been very, very recent, as far as I'm concerned, that this kind of hate would even be allowed. I don't know how to put that. Would be like common in society. So, all right, I have to pop this up because I just have to read this. So Margie says she made calling cards that read, "Help for the helpless, hope for the hopeless, hap for the hapless." May as well have some hap out there, right? All right. Okay. So, oh my gosh. All right. Thank you for all of these comments. I'm failing on some of them. All right. Thistle has asked the question: how did I practice and change my voice? So I did go to a speech language pathologist. And it's so funny to call it speech language pathologist because like it's not like my previous voice was a pathology or that this voice is a pathology, but it does help to have somebody who can help you hear the things that you have to hear. I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm in the middle of writing an article for what it's worth. I'm in the middle of writing an article that is hopefully going to be published in the American Journal of Speech Language Pathology. And when I was talking with the person who's going to be that I'm writing this with, we talked about the three major things that we face trying to do this sort of thing. One of them is being able to hear. I think that's hard. Just being able to hear the changes in voice, that's tough. So that's one thing. How did I practice? One of the first things I did was record myself and then try to listen to things. Try to listen for certain aspects of voice. The second thing that I think is hard is actual technique, right? Because you have to be able to, thank you, Matt. You have to be able to move your larynx around. There's work that you do with they're called the false vocal folds, which is that thing that can give you the vocal fry. Those are your false vocal folds. And then you could do things with your tongue and anterior tongue. Anterior tongue anchor, I think it's called. Anyway, there are various things you can do with your voice, but those are technique. So now you've got to figure out, how to make that work. So anyway, so those are the two things. And then the worst one, here we go. To my mind, the absolute worst one is actually figuring out how to make it real in the world. I was mentioning this to Kevin, is the person I'm writing this with. Mentioned this to Kevin, that the hardest part was actually talking to people I know. The talking to strangers was easy because these people have no idea who the hell I am. They may be meeting my expression for the first time. And Kevin was like, see, we don't have that kind of, insight. We don't think that way. We don't think about, that the people we know are the hardest, because speech language pathologists have the tendency to work with people with like stutters, or I don't know any others, but things like that, lisps, stutters, things that it's harder to do with a stranger. It's the other way around for us. So anyway, how did I practice? How did I change my voice? I did go to somebody to help me do this. One other point that I want to make, because I'm seeing a lot of comments. One of the other points I want to make is something that Jasmine Vine said on a live stream, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks ago. But she said that, because somebody says, well, this is a fake voice. That what I have now is a fake voice. And she was mentioning that other people have said that to... Matt can do some things with his tongue, I hear. And it's not just talking, I'm guessing. That's where you're going with that. Anyway, she said that there's a difference between the voice that I'm using now and the voice that she had before, but the voice that she had before was not normal or non-pathological, but rather default. I think that's very important. That's an exceptional point to make, that it's not that we're doing something abnormal with our voices. What we're doing is we just are trying to change away from the default voice. But we do this anyway. I mean, like, if you're like if you're a runner, if you're doing any kind of sport, you don't know all of the technique that makes you a good person at sports versus, what you're doing by default. So there you go. Um, anyway, hopefully that was enough. I keep reading comments, and so I'm losing my trail of thought. But so this I'm not going to debate. I don't want to call my default voice a pathology. I liked the way that Jasmine put it, that it is a default, not a pathological voice. And so I will definitely say that I needed some help to overcome the challenges that my male developed body presented me. Was that pathology? Hard to say. I also don't like the idea of calling typical human experiences like experiencing gender pathological. Western science has a tendency to say anything that isn't normal, and it's hard to say what the hell normal is pathological. So there was a. Do I have any idea how much boobs hurt? Oh, I do. Oh, my cat used to be beaten all over. There was a. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I want to say this. So Diamond has a good question. What's a random bit of trans life that otherwise never gets mentioned as part of people discussing trans life? Here's my answer, Diamond. What I'm going through and what I have gone through is absolutely no different from what anybody else went through. We all had to look deep inside and say, who am I? How would I want to express myself? And some of us just take the defaults. Some of us do just go, you know what? I'm gonna do what my social environment would prefer I do. But the random bit of trans life, to my mind, is just every single one of us has to make these decisions. I made decisions that turned out like this. I made decisions that ended me up with a little purple bob, and the name Amethysta. Other people have made different decisions. We were talking earlier, Diamond, I don't know if you were here, but we were talking earlier about, Donald Trump's use of makeup. That's a gender affirming care that he's used that, he made that choice because he wants to look more, virile, vigorous, same with somebody like an Elon Musk or a Lauren Boebert. Marjorie Taylor Greene makes the makeup choices, the hair choices that she does, because that's the way she wants to express herself. And I do not see a distinction between what I've done in terms of dumping social norms and what any of those others did in terms of fulfilling social norms. There is definitely a psychological difference that I could certainly discuss, but I think that's the biggest random bit, that ultimately I didn't do anything different from what you did, or, other people, because Diamond, I don't know you. So there you go. Hopefully that was a good, hopefully I like that answer. Ella does bring up, so Thistle asked about boobs. Yeah, as far as I know, not as far as I know, with HRT, they generally want to shut you down within 3 to 5 years. Usually breast development stops usually within 3 years. I happen to be, for what it's worth, I'm a little more than, I'm 3 years and about 2 months, a little more than 3 years and 2 months, and my boobs are still hurting. I don't know when these are going to stop, but my cat's probably going, would you please stop being so sensitive? Whee! So, let me see. Regarding voice, to my mind, the much more telling part. All right, I'm going to go a little bit into anatomy here because you'll love it. All right, maybe you won't. If you don't tell me. Anyway, the vocal tract here, usually, testosterone. Sky the femboy, hey. Usually testosterone dominant bodies I'm not going to say male necessarily, but bodies that have more testosterone grow longer vocal tracts. If you've ever seen a pipe organ, you know the big deep notes are large pipes that are wide, and the high pitched ones are smaller. There are two reasons for that. One is what's called resonance. And so if you have a standing wave, you recall from physics, if you have a standing wave, so if it's a long wave, you can also have harmonics, or overtones sometimes they're called. When you have a longer vocal tract, it's almost like a pipe organ, and you have deeper resonance is what it's called. So deeper overtones. And so the biggest thing to my mind with a feminine voice is actually the resonance. And so that's moving your larynx up. So that actually the waves that you make as you speak, they aren't necessarily higher pitch, but they are brighter tone. The best example I can give of this is if you've ever heard that solo to Sweet Child of Mine, right? I never thought I would use this as an example, but in the solo to Sweet Child of Mine, Slash is using something called a wah pedal, and so it makes a wah wah sound. Wah wah wah. Anyway, the sound is used because it's changing the tone. So you have an actual pedal that you're pushing, and it changes the tone from dark to bright, and that's what it is. Moving your larynx from. Takes me a second to get this. Okay, moving your larynx from down farther up when you move it up higher. So my voice, I didn't change the pitch, but I did change the tone of it. And so then there's more that gets thrown in there. There are also, fun bits where you do use your false vocal folds for a little bit of things. Anyway, look at resonance first is going to be where I'm going, and leave it at that. Okay. All right, one thing. Oh, here we go. I like this. One piece of trans life that I don't think people talk about is the imposter syndrome you can get. What's crazy is I used to like try to catch transgender people's eyes, because there are some people like, I like to catch their eye, and then you sort of do a, you give them the nod sort of thing. There used to be, when I was a runner, we did what was called the runner's point. So you'd be running along and just go, you're running, I'm running, I can see you're running, you can see I'm running, we're running. So I tried to do a sim like the trans point, but it was really more of the trans, like, winky eyebrow things. More like that. And now it's kind of crazy. I've actually become somewhat invisible to transgender people. And part of me goes, hey, that's great. And then part of me goes, gosh, I got kicked out of my own community. It so happens that now I present like this, but anyway, it is tough. It is tough. I think that's a big thing, that you see other transgender people and go, ooh. So, here do we go? What do we got? Diamond. So here we go. Wasn't there? Oh, because so weren't there? And what I'm talking about, I've written a significant amount, Diamond. So there's a lot of other things that I would talk about, that I've talked about in terms of gender dysphoria. But yeah, cis people absolutely get gender affirming. That's what, yes, the upkeep of gender is usually unspoken. Completely true. I mean, if you're a woman and you go and you get your nails done, gender affirming care. That's it. Going to get your hair done, gender affirming care. I do like loss of muscle mass. This is so true. Oh my gosh. I lost a lot of muscle mass. I didn't have a whole lot upstairs to begin with. But yeah, now I've got so hard to do anything. Oh, there's so many comments. I'm sorry. I'm talking in. Oh, sure. You're welcome for the answer. Let's see. Living is okay. So Angela says, oh, really? After 33 years. Okay. I told her my dictation was bad and I was trying to improve, and she accepted. That's great. Again, I think, I think that most people it depends on what you're. How do I want to say this? I have seen cisgender women. Like, I can't remember her name. She was in Romancing the Stone. I don't remember the name. Kathleen Turner, I think is her name. She has a very deep, very throaty kind of voice. And I think one of the things that we don't always consider is, there are cisgender women with voices that are very similar to cisgender men. And then vice versa. I've known cisgender men with very high-pitched, very bright voices. Not because they tried to, because that's just the way biology goes. So, this is good, though. Here's something. It's funny. I have kind of said the same thing. So I know. So Matt's girlfriend is Minnie, and I don't know if Minnie's still here. Minnie is absolutely beautiful. If you look at her, you'll be like, "Yeah, how will I ever get there?" And I understand that point. The idea of going, well, I'm not a real girl, but somebody else who looks right is. And I believe very strongly that passing should not be the goal. Passing should be, feeling good about yourself. Feeling I look the way I wanted to look all my life should be the goal. I'm gonna kick through a few of these. Amethyst is laying pipe, Oregon. Wow, I have really... let me see. Okay, so with Thistle, you're saying you... Oh, goodness. Yeah, resonance is... So the hardest thing with resonance, I think, is hearing it. That's my opinion, ultimately. Because there are also a few bits. Because I hear you. Barrel chest, drug use, I get you. Because there are 3 different resonances you can work with. Only one of them is the larynx. Moving the larynx is probably the most important one, but constricting the top of the throat makes a significant difference. And then to go back to the anterior tongue anchor, that changes a lot within your mouth and can do some really, make some other big differences. In fact, actually, when I said the words big differences, those S's, those sibilances, if I take my tongue away from where I would put, hard to do it because I've become so accustomed to it, but if I take my tongue away from where I've been putting it to exaggerate the sibilance, now you can see it's coming right back. That also gives at least an impression of a different vocal tract. So there's so many aspects to it, but what else do we have? Hey, Saoirse. Wait, I'm not invisible. I'm glad I'm not invisible, but... Oh, you know what? I don't know, Matt, if you were going to take this out or no. And Fearless, I don't know if you're still here. But I did, right at the very beginning of my live stream, I mentioned that I don't mourn Charlie Kirk's passing, and I absolutely condemn the way that he passed. I don't know if you're still there, but there's no way I don't want to see humans treated like that. And that's how it's going to go. So I don't know. It took me a while to get to you. I apologize. But this is what we got. Femboy Legolas. Where are we? Oh, I've recently described my gender goal as Femboy Legolas. Hey, actually, is that a strange vibe? Legolas was awesome, I think. Or I guess, what the hell was his name? The guy who played Legolas in the movies, I just thought it was amazing. And then I saw him in whatever the hell he went to do, Pirates of the Caribbean, and I was like, you have like a beard and shit. This doesn't look good. I don't like that. Yeah, this is, Saoirse's got a good point. Saoirse's got, never thought the elves in Tolkien were androgynous. And I do, yeah, I mean, it's a good point. But then you see like drawings, the drawings that were even in some of the early, like the 19, I can't think of what they were, but the 1940s, 1950s editions of these, the first time it went into a paperback. And you go, well, that's not exactly, you know. Oh, Lady Alice has come back. Awesome. Lady Alice. I love it. I love it so much. Here's a cool thing too. Actually, Miranda, thank you for bringing this up. Orlando Bloom. Thank you for telling me the guy's name too. Orlando Bloom. Do you know for the longest time I had trouble telling Pedro Pascal from Orlando Bloom. That's me. So Miranda makes the point that vocal feminization made her a better singer. I agree. And I think the two are absolutely, they have like a synergistic effect. As I started to sing, in higher registers, I was like, oh my gosh, I can, now I can, now I can use these lessons in other ways. And I completely agree. One of the biggest things I think that helped tune some of the aspects of voice for me was actually just singing along in the car. And I'll tell you, if you really want a challenge, like sing Adele, because she has bits. I don't know. This is me, but it's hard for me anyway. But she will go from like a falsetto down to like something much deeper, and then sometimes she'll have a growly kind of thing, and then but a lot of it is like a very strong, clear, high pitch, which is difficult. And anyway, Adele is, if you can sing along with Adele for like 2 hours, holy cats, you're doing it and doing it and doing it well. Alice, I'm serious. So reach out to me. I know some people who can help you with voice training. Even if you just want to go look up Jasmine Vine, you're going to have to look up Jasmine Vine Transgender on YouTube or on the internet. But Jasmine is great. She's got a Discord server even. What else? Prismatic Speech Services is the one that I tend to be kind of some sort of affiliated with. Not really, but Kevin is the owner of Prismatic, and Kevin was the person I'm writing the article with, etc. So, all right, what do we got? Hey, Megan. Let me see. The difference between Orlando and Pedro is that thinking Orlando is kind of hot doesn't make me feel a little gay. Okay, I'll go with that. Pedro's still a good-looking guy, though. He definitely. Yeah, Sia. Okay, thank you. Eric Jackman also says Sia too. Yeah, like titanium. Wow, that one's a tough one to go. That one's a tough one. So, oh hey, Charlotte C. Has just about to start with her voice. Good job. I'd love to hear more about that. I do know. Victoria, I'm going to get to you in just 1 second. So Genevieve has asked, has anybody had vocal cord surgery? I do know somebody who did. Jazz, I can't think of her last name, but I knew her from Medium. And she did get vocal cord surgery, vocal tract surgery. And she ended up pretty happy with it. There's also somebody, and I'm trying to remember her name too, and I don't remember what streaming platform she was on, what video platform she was on, but when she started off, default voice, and then did some vocal training. And I'm going to tell you, when I heard her voice after vocal training, I was like, holy cow, like you did amazingly well. And then she went and got vocal cord surgery. She wanted to get vocal tract surgery. And I would say it was subtle. It was, incremental. I think she did so great just with voice training, because you get muscle memory that doesn't really go away. And Saoirse, is that different from jazz that I'm curious, but so anyway, it was incremental. I would say if you were to ask me, I would say it wasn't worth it, but that's me. So I want to call this out. First of all, thank you so much, Haru. Haru sent an actual monetary gift. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. Get back to your coursework. I'm so glad that we met. Yeah, by all means, let's connect. And thank you again so much. Oh my gosh, that was so nice. All right, Victoria, sorry, I've left you 2 minutes. Has gender euphoria been a part of my journey? And if so, what ways has it manifested? There was at least one time. I mean, and this has happened a lot, Victoria. This was, I will say, yes, absolutely. It's a part of the journey. And I would say that if I did not continue to have euphoric moments, I probably might not be so enthusiastic now. It is nice to see these changes. And I mean, a couple of them, like here was the first one that I can think of. I don't even know how far along I was, but I was wearing a top sort of like this, sort of V-shapey sort of thing. And I know I just went to go pee or something like that. It does make a difference. But I'm washing my hands and I glanced up in the mirror and I've got my, this kind of thing. But I glance up and I go, oh, I was like, I've got cleavage. I was like, holy cow. That was a very euphoric moment. But it struck me too. Before I even talk about that, because I will say this much, I had not done a lot of transition, maybe 3 months, 4 months, something like that. It would be late 2022. Late 2022, I remember I was washing my hands again and I looked up in the mirror. There wasn't a lot that was different with my face, but enough that I went, oh, look at that. I've changed. And just being able to see that change those moments have always been just huge for me. Very, very huge for me. Another interesting thing, I would have thought that I was done with voice stuff for what it's worth, but I was doing my little video blog things. There's a better word for that, but Eric, I'm going to get to you in a second, but so in any event, I was doing these vlogs, a year ago, starting last April. So I mean, it's been a while now, so a year and a half. But I got to that year, and one of the streaming platforms says, "Hey, do you remember this from a year ago?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I remember making these videos." And I looked at it and I went, oh, what the hell's wrong with my voice? I couldn't believe it. And the point I'm going to go toward here is that after even just a year and a half, and I had been doing, that was 2024, I had graduated, however you put that, graduated from vocal therapy, voice therapy, a year before. And so it had been a year, and listening to it, I thought I sounded okay-ish. And that was TikTok last year that I just, or whatever, one of the two. And then I listened to it, I saw it again, whatever, when it came up, and I went, wow, gosh, just those changes. These changes, they add up. And you end up not always remembering them, that you have changed. But then when you do, it's those moments that I think really, really make it all worthwhile. So hopefully that was worth it. Hopefully that was a good answer there, Victoria. So thank you so much. This is a good point. So Eric says, from what I've read in literature, vocal cord surgery has mixed results. The thickness of the facial mask and overall resonance in the soft palate area contribute to your timbre a lot. Very true. And that was part of what I was mentioning. Yeah, you can mess around with the with the upper throat. You can constrict that a little bit more. It can make it more or less clear when you're talking. I tend to do that as I'm talking. So when I reach the end of a sentence, it kind of goes down into sort of a fry like that. So playing around with stuff, yeah, at the top of the throat, which has nothing to do with your actual vocal folds. Thistle also brought up the idea that your sinus cavities do make some difference. And I'm going to say there was a guy, I wish I could remember the guy's name. And I'm not going to be able to, but I read a story about him. and this was a while ago. This was 150 years ago, easily, somewhere in the 1800s. He wanted to make a point. He wanted to make the point that that sinuses do not contribute a lot to a singing voice. So because he was a singer, opera singer, and I'm sure this came from, I don't know if it was the Anatomy or Tone. I'm trying to remember which book. I think it was the Anatomy of Tone. Anyway, it's not that big of a deal. Some book I read. But he wanted to prove that a good singing voice didn't require using your sinuses, which we get taught, if you're a singer at all, if you've had any singing classes, that head voice means you're resonating within your head, which includes your sinuses and stuff. Chest voice is down here. You're resonating down here instead of in your head. The point here is that this guy packed his sinuses full of cotton. Packed his sinuses full of cotton and then gave a performance. And then people said, wow, what a great performance. And he said, ha ha, and, starts pulling cotton out of his face. I've just got, he gives a performance or something. There are people like going, bravo, bravo, whatever, bravo. And he's like, hang on. Ah, yes, here we go. Like a clown and, scarves coming out of his sleeve, only it's cotton coming out of his face. I'm not sure. Anyway, we do have the tendency to think that sinuses, I'm cracking myself up at least. We do have the tendency to think that sinuses make a huge amount of difference, and they don't necessarily. So Herrick, to get back to what you were saying, yes, there are still other things that you would do. Oftentimes when you have all that surgery, it's not just the vocal folds. Oftentimes they will also shorten muscles to purposely lift the larynx up. And that's, hi morning wind. So purposely lifting the larynx up makes a huge difference. Obviously, if you thin the vocal folds, they can vibrate at a higher frequency, higher pitch. But really it's messing around with the height of the larynx that makes the bigger point. From any of that. So if all you do is just get your vocal folds worked on, may not do everything that you were looking for. And Matt even says, yeah, you can get softer, more breathy, stuff like that. So what else do we have? All right. Oh, you're welcome, Victoria. All right, here we go. I love this. So clapping for chlamydia. I'm going to tell you, that's crazy. Why are transgender people so powerful? Right-wingers seem to think you all are wizards or something. Well, witches, I suppose, anyway. If for no other reason than I don't want to be associated with JKR, chlamydia. Anyway, so the point here is that I will say this much. It used to be, and maybe there's still some sort of a cultural memory of this, but it used to be that the people who were, who were oracles, the people who were magicians, the people who were, the people who did some of the magic in society, they were liminal people. And sometimes it was literal. Sometimes we're talking about like proximal liminality. I don't know how that fell out of my face. But the point here is that you had people who lived on the edge of town, even. They weren't really part of the society, but they are, those were the witches. They were the people you would go to if you had, a bad rash, if you get where I'm going with this. And clapping for chlamydia, perhaps you do get where I'm going with that. So, but even if you look at, like, somebody told me a very important magician that I happen to know, told me a story. And yes, you're right, like the two-spirit shaman type in Native American cultures. But even shamans, like actual shamans from Russian steppes. But there were also Katoi in Thailand. There's also Hijra in India. These were thought of as liminal and actually powerful people. But somebody named Josephine McCarthy is her name. I'm not going to just say an important magician. Josephine McCarthy once told me that a story about how when Alexander the Great, so whatever, Alexander of Macedon, right? He went and invaded. He's invading all over. That's how you become great. If you're a man, the way you become great is you go invade people apparently. Anyway, he goes off, goes into to Jerusalem apparently, and says, "Okay, I'm king of the world here. You guys are going to be, you're now my subjects." And they said, "Well, hold up, because what you have to do is go and talk to our wizards, essentially." And there was a small community outside of Jerusalem that, the way the story goes, it's probably homosexual and or transgender people. And those were the people who conferred sovereignty on Alexander. So at least historically, transgender people were powerful. I can give you a more, I hate, I don't really hate it. I'm going to talk a little magically here. I mean, I understand, I talk about science because I'm like a scientist and all. But one of the things that I think has been important, at least for my own spiritual practice, has been the ability to do both sides of what what you can do spiritually. So this was great. So Alexander the Great was hella bisexual too. See, there you go. Well, from Macedon, everybody was. Everybody. So anyway, here's where I was going to go. In Western esoteric tradition, so Western magical tradition, there's the idea that there are that masculine and feminine really refer to actions, not necessarily bodies. Masculine and feminine, and for what it's worth, now these are words that are obviously very loaded with other context. But the idea of a masculine, oh, hey, Jen, gosh, you come in every time I start talking something magic-y. Jen just came in. Anyway, the masculine just meant something that was initiating and activating and directing. Feminine implied something that was receiving, receptive, or nurturing. I'm a little off center, so I'm fixing that. Receptive and nurturing and completing. So the difference between initiating and completing. So a masculine action would initiate something going on, and a feminine action would complete it. And I mean, you can see that there are, if you look at mammals at the very least, you go, okay, well, I can see where maybe they would have gotten this in Western magical tradition, especially considering this is only, for 800 or so years old or so. So the point is that when you have the ability, if you have the ability to express both masculinity and femininity, the ability to set an intention and then raise the energy and then complete the activity, that is powerful. Do conservatives think we're wizards? I mean, I guess so. I don't know why we live rent-free in their brains. I got that the first time, Matt. Did you see? Living rent-free in their brains. I don't know why we do. But I think that's a big point there. And I hope that was I hope you're all good. So wait, you love this? Thank you for learning me real good. Okay. Thank you for subscribing. People, these people are a lot of fun. Matt's fun. Thistle, all of these people are fun. I'm curious if I do scare weak-minded conservatives. It would be super funny. I had a friend, this was a while ago, but I had a friend who told me that one of my superpowers was actually being underestimated. So not having people coming in and going, oh, geez, I'm already intimidated, but having people come in and go, really? Purple hair? The fuck could you know? And I've had plenty of those people come in and go, oh, yeah, you couldn't possibly know anything. And then I'll say something and they go, oh, crap. All right. I got outclassed. I guess I'm out of here. And usually they call me, a mean name on the way out, which is fine, Not fine, not like I want it to be done, just, you know what, I want to pull this up. Every society seems to need a minority to hate. Finding a common enemy, you've used the word hate, and I'm saying now enemy. but I think this is an important point. I think that finding a common enemy is probably the most powerful way to draw a community together. And when what you're trying to do is make your community last a long time, and we all do that. I mean, geez, if I go back 30 years, right, I'm like, oh, I hope the goth community never changes. And then I watched the goth community turn into basically the raver community, and I went, what the hell? And then I saw that sort of turn into emo, and then the emo people were like, well, we're goth, and I'm going, no, that's not. Then I see people today who go, well, I'm goth because I play Halo, and I go, So I wanted to preserve that, culture, that's community. So getting a common enemy. Oh, and by the way, the common enemy at the time, Halo is not goth. The common enemy at the time became the ravers. We'd see people with hate to say this, but we'd see people with like the dyed red hair or maybe purple bobs, such as mine, and go, ugh, did you do that on purpose? Oh my gosh. I hate these people. Go and dance poorly somewhere else, will you? It's primarily what we did. And we would do that to anybody. So, oh Matt, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Yeah, we do absolutely want to find somebody, to hate. I don't know if it's hate, but certainly unite against. There we go. See, here we go. This is what I would say. Sisters of Mercy. See, so this is goth. It's a music genre. Okay. I mean, Sisters of Mercy, right? You had Andrew Eldritch, who swore up and down, I am not a goth. I'm kind of bummed that you didn't throw in, some Kate Bush or Susie and the Banshees, but, maybe like male voice is better. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Herrick. Thank you for saving us. Goth used to mean Susie and the Banshees, right? Anti-establishment. It also meant, cute frilly. Right, you had to have cute frilly cuffs. I used to have some great clothes. I used to have knee-high boots. Knee-high boots with buckles and pointed toes. Let me tell you, getting through the metal detectors, right, at the getting through the metal detectors at the airport. So this was all pre, 2001. Otherwise, it would have been, would have been much more difficult. But these big, huge, buckle boots, and belts. Anyway, it's fun. It was fun. The great and now I've become great and wondrous. That's great. Thank you, Brenda. So I don't think so. Wait a minute. You said punk. Here we go. So yes, Thistle is 100% a punk. The way that she looks, and I think I agree. I think punk has its own mindset for sure, but just as goth did. I mean, I think when we were I do this for my son because for some reason it cracks them up. But when I was all gothy, sitting around, you go to like, I don't even care, Waffle House or something, right? You're at Waffle House at like 2 a.m. and you're just looking at people like, what is wrong with this person? I cannot believe this person exists on this planet. And the thing is, the best part about it, they're doing the same. Dudes with a big, like 40-gallon hat. I don't know if it gets really super high. Yes, I'm doing it in IHOP. That's the same thing. And we get a guy with like a big ass, cowboy hat, something like that. They're doing the same. They're looking at you going, God, what in the hell? Did they come out of hell? I think they came out of hell. That's like a succubus sitting right there, a succubus and like 4 devils with her. What in the flying hell? Anyway, yes, you have to live it. You have to live it. Angela, I want you to send me your goth look now at 65. I think it'd be awesome. I'm with you. So Liz, Ella says she started being goth in her teens. Now she's 42. Wasn't just a phase. I thought it could be, but it didn't. Here we go. I like this. The practice of campiness is the most punk thing you can do. Going against what is tasteful to showcase, doing the most and doing the most and showing effort is so powerful. Yeah, this is it's interesting. I'm gonna there's a little bit of a rant. Sorry everybody, but Eric brought something up and it's a good thing. The thing is that when I first saw Rocky Horror, okay, I'm waiting for all of a sudden like the numbers to drop, how many people are watching still. When I first saw Rocky Horror, I loved the camp of it, but I also loved this idea of exactly what you're saying. Sorry. Oops, put that back. Showing the effort. You know, it was campy, and yet the point was that, look, we're trying to show a distinction between, well, Brad and Janet and Dr. Frankenfurter, you know, Riff Raff, Magenta, Little Nell. What the hell was her name? Oh, I can't think of her name. Somebody tell me. What was the other one? With the red hair, short red hair. Anyway, the point is that the first time I saw that, I was like, this is the greatest, because they're trying to be different. And I wanted to be different. I mean, I absolutely wanted to be different. So, and I saw that when I was 11, 12. I'm not sure. I saw it in Seattle. I had my cousins lived so my father's family lived in Seattle, and one of my cousins said, "Oh, we need to go and see Rocky Horror." And I remember going home, just going, "Well, I know what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I'm gonna be basically, you know, just like that. I'm gonna be working it and being happy with myself." So I think that was always all I was going to say there. That wasn't much of a rant now, was it? Well, okay, the rant part was supposed to be the people now look at Rocky Horror and they go, well, it's so offensive, these stereotypes. How annoying. You know, we can't have these stereotypes. But the point was, in part, for the camp. You know, not everything needs to be serious. This is my own opinion. Not everything needs to be serious. It was the same with Star Trek. Like the 1960s Star Trek, campy, loved it. You trying to make it serious? You know, when you have, Ash in Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Army of Darkness, you know, that stuff. Not Night of the Living Dead. Evil Dead, sorry. Evil Dead, you know, Army of Darkness. That's great. It's like horror, but it's also campy, you know. But then when you look at some later stuff, you're like, Saw. Oh, that just got too serious. You're just trying to, now you're just trying to make me scared, and it's boring. Got old. So, anyway, thank you for bringing that up. That's a great topic. Wish I could pass as a goth girl, but at 70 years old. Miranda, you're not 70? I didn't know that. And now I'm starting to wonder, is this actually the Miranda I was thinking you were? That would feel silly. Oh yeah, well, here you go. Speaking of Rocky Horror, so this is interesting. This the wild side is not in Rocky Horror, but yes. So yes, it is. So that's Velvet Underground. Yeah, Velvet Underground Wild Side, I believe is with the Wild Side maybe. Yes. Absolutely about a transgender, certainly transvestite anyway. Sex worker, I believe. So anyway. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is awesome. So Alice had pink hair and purple roots. Ooh, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, yeah, if you did the box dye black, you will be waiting a long time. I had blue-black hair for the longest time, and it grew out to about waist length. I'm putting my hands down there, and you cannot see them at all. So, you know, who... Anyway, when I finally cut that and stopped dyeing it, I was all sort of sad about it. And now I've been going, should I... A lot of me goes, I want to go dye my hair black. But I know if I do, I'm going to be doing exactly what you're saying. Now I'm going to have to wait for it to grow out. But it's not simple. I'm seeing my hairstylist on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. And it's usually 5 hours, 4 hours anyway, because you got to bleach it. My hair's naturally blonde, dark blonde, but yeah, it's a pain. 4 hours. So let me see. My little oh, I believe this. So yeah, my little bi cousin didn't quite get why the birdcage was so important for gays at the time. Yeah, fresh off the satanic panic even. The humor is problematic by today's standards. So yes, and I guess I'm gonna go with exactly what I said before. I mean, meanings of words have changed, right? I mean, our culture changes. This is part of, exactly where social constructionism comes from. Our society changes, and in part, social constructionism, right? When you have Judith Butler and their whole theory about gender being a social construct, I mean, it comes because we've seen gender norms change. We've seen cultural norms change. We've seen so much change. The idea that we could ever, in fact, actually bring in, this is an interesting point, because I was talking about how I wished I could have preserved the goth culture from, whatever, 30 years ago. But things change. And so I guess where I wanted to say there was that, yeah, La Cage aux Faux, the birdcage, very, very important piece of art. And yeah, there are things that we probably wouldn't want to say today. But I think you could look at that in just about anything. Like Angels in America. I don't know if you remember that one. I'm trying to remember who wrote that one too. I did, however, just remember the character in Rocky Horror. Columbia is who I'm thinking of. But I can't think of who wrote Angels in America. It's not coming to me. But it was supposed to be about the AIDS epidemic, and like a senator who had contracted AIDS but was a conservative senator, didn't want to admit he was gay. Anyway, point is just that I don't think you'd pull that off today. I think if you were to do that, if you were to use a conservative senator today, say, well, I was going to say Mike Johnson, but so a conservative senator, but anyway, if you were going to do that, oh, I think you'd have people coming off after you. It'd be doxxed in a moment, and you'd be taken out. So I don't know. I think it's important always to look at these things in context. I could go back to the Second Amendment and how that was, that needed to be seen in context as well, but we're going to move away from there. What else do we hear? Can't wait. Oh, do my wife has said this too. Can't wait until my hair's all gray. Yeah, and then it's easy to put pastels in. So a little tidbit, Alice, just going to tell you, because you probably can't see it, but I have a good, 1/4 inch worth of absolutely white roots. Wow, that was harder to say than I thought. White roots. Dead white roots there, and yet they take dye really badly. That still has to be bleached. It still needs to be bleached in order to open up the cuticle enough to roughen the shaft of the hair enough that dye will absorb to it and give you this whole affair. Because if I touched up my hair now, when I rinsed it out, the first time I rinsed it out, I know that was 2 fingers. The first time I rinsed it out, it'd be back to white. It's pretty crazy. It doesn't stick well, at least on my own. There we go. Just go for the goth. Don't care what people think. Be yourself. People will accept it. I kind of believe that. But I do, yes, be yourself, yes. People will accept it. That was the part that I go, maybe. Let's hope so. Oops, sorry. Let me see. Angela says when she was born in the UK, it was illegal to be gay. Yeah. Would you say, so you're in the UK, And just recently, right, we had a Supreme Court decision. I said you, because I'm in the US, but you had a Supreme Court decision that essentially destroyed the whole point of having the gender recognition certificates. Would you say now that they're accepting transgender people? I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm curious what you think about that, because I saw that. And admittedly, it was a Supreme Court decision. It did not change laws. Obviously, that's not what it's not what a Supreme Court does. It's what a legislative branch does. Parliament does. And so people have said, well, nobody lost rights. Nobody, there's no laws, yada yada. No, but they established a precedent, and that precedent is significant. Now, precedent could enable changes to laws. So anyway, in the U.S., it's not fun being transgender. Don't misunderstand me. But I am curious about, how well transgender people are accepted in the UK. Here we go. Speaking of language evolving, so I popped this up without having read it. We're going to see what it says. Speaking of language evolving, have you heard of the Oceanic tribe, so Kwayo, where words are regularly updated as taboo? Do they have so the quick answer, no, I have not heard about this. Do they have an actual committee or something that does that? To say, okay, we don't like this word anymore, bring in another word. If they have a committee, I think that's a good idea. Somebody was saying last week that Benjamin Franklin, maybe it was. I'm trying to remember who it was, but somebody said that when the Constitution, this is in the U.S., when the Constitution was written, one of the people who was part of the framers said, we need to put in a clause in there that says every 20 years they have to revisit this. And they obviously they didn't, because, now we're looking at something that's 240 years old, and we go, should there be a comma here? Why is there a comma here? That's fascinating. I don't think that's a bad idea to revisit language and say, well, look, do we all understand our own language? I think that's a good idea. I also like this idea that from Thistle, in Ojibwa culture, we don't have swear words or curse words. The word isn't bad or bad to use, nor the person for using it. But the way you shape and use words, that's how you can curse people. It feels like, to my mind, it's sort of along the lines when you say something like words aren't bad, people using them are bad. It's the same thing as people saying, look, guns don't kill people. People kill people. There is some truth to that. You can't just put a gun out on a table and I mean, unless it was a really bad, I don't know, there's an earthquake, who knows, right? But it's not going to happen typically that a gun sitting out is going to kill somebody. It does require somebody to do it. But do we want to give this responsibility to people who have clearly demonstrated that they can't handle it, that responsibility? So same thing with words. We go, well, it's just a word, right? Nancy Mace uses mean words all the time. And, are they just words? Not what she wants to use them for. So, speaking of what I just was, Ella says, I think the UK is pretty much the same as the US red states now, minus all the guns, right? All right. What else do we have here? Okay, so what Eric now brings up, from what he remembers, Eric, forgive me if your pronouns are not he, him, tell me. But from what they remember, the elders of the tribe ascribe a specific word as taboo based on the crimes of a tribe member. Oh, fascinating. So they enact it on a case-by-case basis very regularly. Huh. Now I have to go and look that up. That's fascinating. We're going to have to go and look at that. This is great. Thank you, Angela. So Angela says mostly the people she's met on holiday in the UK at the moment to accept you as trans when they find out. I will say it's kind of like, how does somebody go, you know what, I'm not going to accept this? I mean, I'm asking this question, knowing very well somebody has done this to me. Somebody has said, nope, sorry. No more. We can't be friends because, if you're going to wear a skirt, that's all over for us. I don't know how you can not, because it's sort of like, well, if I shaved my head, what's the difference? It's not really your decision now, is it? I feel like I was going down a path there, and for some reason the path actually kind of, I don't know, it seems like the sidewalk ended there. There's probably going to be a good point, and nope, lost it. So, all right. I didn't take a break, so I didn't have like the chance to. What were we using this? The fetish something, I don't know. Oh, okay. So yes, this happens, right? So Angela, I get you. Yeah, some people will totally ignore you. Yeah, somebody will look at. I don't know. See, here's the thing. I feel like I've gotten that my whole life. But to go back to what I was talking about earlier, it's like I've always sort of seemed like a character. When my hair was even when I was an undergrad, my hair was long and blonde. And I lived in California, so there were, it was all sun. I lived in San Diego, so you couldn't get away from the sun. So it was always, streaked with blonde. I looked like a surfer, and people were like, oh, jeez. Then I dyed my hair. Well, it was pink, then it was burgundy, then it was blue-black. And I loved it because people would cross. When I was walking through small town Georgia, people would cross the street to get away from me. Sorry. Not to come to me. I loved seeing people like walking along, they'll look up and go, cross the street. And I'm like, nice. Can't believe I could have that much of an effect on people. And yeah, then there are the people that like you'll walk right in front of them and they're sort of pointedly, not going to acknowledge you, not acknowledging you, looking all the way around except for at you. And I don't know, to a certain extent I like that. To a certain extent I'm like, gosh, really, do you think so much about me that you have to ignore me? Because I don't know, why would I live rent free like that? Oh, here's more of the story. So here's more of the story. So they use it as a respective ancestry type of thing. Oh, I see. So it's not to curse future members of the tribe. That's fascinating. I love that. I'm not sure I would exactly say this, that Israel loves the queer community, but I don't know. Maybe you're saying you're from Israel and you also like the queer community, and if so, woohoo! I'm glad that you like the queer community. I'm all over that. Let me see. Random people. Oh, so Thistle, one of these days you need to send a photograph so people can see this. So Thistle says she said random people come up to her to tell her how gorgeous she is or how much they love her hair. Yeah, I bet. Your hair is complicated. I'm trying to figure how I want to use that, how I want to say that. It is definitely, there's a lot to like about your hair. Okay. Understood. Thank you. Anyway, so let me see. There was something I was going to talk about here. What time is it? 3:43? Okay. I was going to, whenever I do that, what's always fascinating? Do you know, not complicated. I don't think that's what I wanted to use. There's a different word that's on the tip of my tongue, Thistle, and I can't think of what I want to use. Not necessarily complicated, but it is, it's intense. It's the kind of thing that, oh, I'm sorry, I thought I hid that. It's the kind of thing that I think people would look at and go, oh, you put some effort into that. You have definitely put some effort into that. So, Oh, here we go. Look, this is actually a pretty good comment. Charlotte says, ignorance is bliss. They're trying to be ignorant of our existence, so they'll never have bliss. I think that's true. I think that's really true. They want to be, they think they're really trying hard to be ignorant of our existence. Because I don't, and maybe everybody out here, everybody, that's hearing my voice right now can, can relate to this. But I have had some people that I will tell them, we'll be talking for half an hour. I don't even care how long. But I will tell them, oh yeah, I transitioned gender. Then all of a sudden they look at me very differently. All of a sudden they're like, you what? Huh. And then you can see like in their head, they're rethinking a few things. So like, I spoke to this person for 30 minutes. Should I just ditch them? I don't know. Because, there are some people I think that they never meet a transgender person. And so as a result, they only know like what Marjorie Taylor Greene says or something like that. And so I think that's a big point to make too. They do try to be ignorant, and then at some point when you end up showing, oh no, look, I think I'm okay. Think I'm okay. They go, oh, I've got to make a bunch of changes in all of my beliefs. So anyway, there you go. This is very true. Let's see. People don't believe you're 65. Yeah, HRT does help. There are a couple of things I think that happened here. So I think that hormone therapy helped me look younger, certainly than I did before hormone therapy. But the other thing too, I think that being happy made a bigger point. It made a bigger difference. My eyes, I can look at my eyes in pictures from like 4 years ago and then look at my eyes in pictures today. And I'm like, I'm older and yet my eyes are clearer. My eyes are brighter. And I think that's a big huge point. Another big, huge point. And Louise, hi, your musical opens Thursday. Woohoo. I think that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. So there's a, I'm looking at a comment here, and I will address you a little bit, Goyslop here. The person who shot Charlie Kirk, was super right wing. Actually, if I understand correctly, I believe the guy's name is Tyler Robinson. I don't remember the last name exactly. If I understand correctly, Tyler went after Charlie because Charlie was not right-wing extremist enough. So, while it's an interesting question, this is not one I think I'm gonna talk about. Oh, here we go. My little sister has been on estrogen for 3 months now. Quality of life skyrocketed. She's way less angry. She's more focused. Any quality of life issues are definitely related to external factors now. There's so many of the studies that are done on the transgender community. They try to do some sort of quantification. And I understand this, right? My background is analytical chemistry, right? I got a Ph.D. in analytical chemistry. I understand statistics. I understand the idea of having data that suits the problem you're trying to talk about. Totally get it. That being said, when you look at medicine, the point of getting medicine is to improve your quality of life. Nobody really cares if like your vitamin A goes up, your vitamin D goes up. I mean, there's no, nobody cares when it comes down to it. When you are the one who needs the, when you are the one who needs to, who wants the quality of life, that is. So, it's I guess just, if we don't look at quality of life as an actual like reason to do what we do, I'm speaking primarily of the transgender community. If we don't look at quality of life, what the hell are we looking for? So we're not we're not doing anything that's going to, we're not measuring anything of much value, I guess is the point. There have been several studies. Johns Hopkins University actually did this. This was a long time ago. End of the 60s, I think, might have been end of the 70s. I forget a little bit here, but Johns Hopkins did a whole study. Maybe I should preface this. They used to have a huge transgender clinic. This was after World War II, there were a lot of plastic surgery improvements, a lot of developments in plastic surgery, and as a result, we started looking at things like people at Johns Hopkins said there's they said we've tried to change people to appreciate their bodies. Why don't we try changing their bodies and see how the people turn out? And you may or may not be surprised to hear this, but helping people change the way their body was configured helped significantly. What a big surprise. Anybody here, I'm sure, is like, yeah, of course. I mean, of course. So the point here is that Johns Hopkins then went on, the guy who started the whole clinic ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to do like a quantitative study. And, I had a bit of a glitch there. I don't know what the glitch was, sorry. Anyway, the guy who started the thing said, we're going to do a quantitative study. In this quantitative study, they said, well, how many of these people end up in heterosexual relationships? How many of them end up getting promotions at jobs? Staying out of jail and like being able to vote or whatever. And it's like, who the hell cares? Because the big point here was that these people were happier. I mean, they had some 90+ % people who said my quality of life is better, and yet then they killed off the entire clinic because they said, yeah, but you didn't stay out of jail any better. Okay, I mean, so anyway, I'm not sure exactly. Oh, quality of life, yeah, we don't use quality of life in some of these studies. And if you look at the Cass report, by the way, that was decidedly thrown out. So there you go. Let me see. So Alice asks me, what are my thoughts on progesterone? It's a good question. So I think I mentioned, I am part of WPATH. I am a full voting member of the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. In part because I have an advanced degree, but I've also done work like this. So I was admitted as full voting member. There is not a long-term clinical study. And so Alice, good point. You've heard many things. You don't want to risk it due to being anecdotal. There has not been a long-term clinical study on progesterone. And when I say I mean people trying to make, double-blind type studies, something along the lines of like an FDA type of study. And so, you're trying to prove an effect or prove or disprove an effect using progesterone. Now, we know very well that progesterone is made in a human body, specifically by ovaries, although even assigned male at birth bodies can create progesterone. Progesterone. So the point here is that I started taking progesterone maybe 6 months or so after I started estrogen, maybe a little bit less. And actually, let me, because now I'm looking at what Thistle said as well. So Thistle says there's not enough data yet. The thing is that there's not enough data in a formal clinical study. There is a lot of, you could call it anecdotal, but there's a lot of data on the effects of progesterone. They have not been all in the middle of a single study. So they want to make that distinction, okay? It's not that we don't know anything about progesterone, because there are plenty of people on progesterone. And there is it anecdotal? We'll see. Anyway, the point is that progesterone did. I believe progesterone helped me develop more breast tissue. I may be a little bit different because it turns out that I probably have some partial androgen insensitivity syndrome. So I'm actually kind of sensitive to both estrogen and progesterone. And so I guess my point is, my thoughts on progesterone is I liked it. I still take it. It does, I think it helped smooth a little bit more. I'm trying to figure out how I want to put this. I think it helped smooth some of my mood a little bit. Definitely helped me sleep for a while. My own personal opinion, and I am not an endocrinologist, but each of us has the exact same genetics. Not exact same genetics, but there's only one human genome, right? There's only one type of human biochemistry. There's not a male biochemistry and a female biochemistry. There is only human biochemistry. And our biochemistry is driven a lot by the dominant hormone in our bodies, estrogen or testosterone. I mean, technically estradiol and dihydrotestosterone, not the point. So a lot of our biochemistry is driven by that. It doesn't make a difference, ultimately, how you were assigned at birth. I ended up growing almost C cups with nothing else. At 52, starting at 52. So, and then now you've got, Thistle's experience that it hurts. Now, I mean, your boobs hurting, yeah, that's breast growth there for what it's worth. But so I don't know if that helps. I don't know. It'll be interesting to hear if you start doing it. Here we go. So Charlotte says she's in Tasmania. You're having the OSPATH annual meeting. Can't wait to attend. That'll be sweet. Yeah, the European EPATH just closed last week. It's all of the. I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. That doesn't totally suck. All of the things that are going on in the world right now has absolutely lit a fire under. Professional associations for transgender health, because we're now hearing all these things. Well, we have no evidence. We don't know this. We have never heard about this. We have no idea what hormones could conceivably do to people, despite the fact that they were considering, that they were messing around with things more than 100 years ago. So anyway, obviously this is now lit a fire under the paths, WPATH, EPATH, OSPATH, USPATH, to do some serious, to make these purposeful clinical trials. And so that's going to, not trials, but clinical studies. And so that's going to be awesome. So I am glad of that. Side notes. Eric says, side notes. I work in surgical pathology. Zoinks. So this is super important. We examine your organs after gender-affirming surgery. We found cancers in some people they were completely unaware of. I'm going to... If you're talking about transgender women, it's well documented that cisgender women are ignored by medical professionals, right? Cisgender women go in, they go, yeah, it really hurts like hell. I feel like, I have a fire lit in my bladder. And they go, have you considered losing some weight? Maybe just lose some weight. Yeah. I'm sure that'll make everything all better. Well, Thistle, I don't think that's what Eric's talking about. I think you're talking about parts taken off in order to do a vaginoplasty. Where I was going to go, though, is that, so there's a friend of mine, anyway. She wrote a book called The Stronger Sex. And Eric, maybe you'd be interested in this. But she wrote a book, The Stronger Sex. It came out July 15th, I think it was. So 2 months ago. She goes through a whole lot. There's one whole chapter about the idea of women, and I want to actually use the words estrogen dominant body, people with estrogen dominant bodies being better able to handle pain. And at least some of that is likely social, because women are ignored, first of all, by the medical community. But women, and obviously didn't go through this, but women also have a monthly cycle that can hurt like hell. And people go, oh, what are you premenstrual? Are you PMSing? It gets minimized. So the reason I bring this up is because I use the phrase estrogen dominant body because I think, obviously that is now necessarily biochemical, but transgender women have the tendency to be ignored as well. I can say that happened to me over and over in industry. It happened to me over and over in industry because I know people could tell this is not somebody who's going to be an alpha male. And there wasn't. I mean, there's not by a long shot. The point here is just to say that as I was ignored, I think I had the tendency also to internalize a lot of my pain. And so I'm not surprised if there is a higher incidence in things like genital cancers in the transgender, among transgender women. Not because estrogen's necessarily causing some sort of, bust me ups in the biochemistry, but because we feel pain and we've been taught not to feel it, by our parents, by our society, by the medical community. We get told, don't, we're pussies, whatever, things that my father would have said to me. And it's all false. I mean, a lot of that is false. And so I think that's an interesting point. And Eric, thank you so much for saying that, because I can completely see there being a relationship. I think that's fascinating. Okay, so here we go. It is now a little past, so I've been on for a little more than 2 hours now. I actually wanted to play the video game, but we had such good conversation going on, I kind of didn't want to stop the conversation. So, but I am going to, I am thinking of, oh, this is fascinating. Thank you, Angela. So Angela says when she was on community committees of mostly men, she didn't allow them to ignore her when cisgender women were. When cisgender women ignored you? Or when they were ignoring others, they were ignoring cisgender women? I'm not sure I completely understand. Will still say that, for the most part, we don't, I don't think we get, the attention that maybe we could. The alpha males are more than happy just to go, you know what, you seem like a weenie. Not going to listen to you. Or at least that happened to me over and over. It was why management was so tough for me. So, all right. I'm going to cut this short. Thank you so much, Eric. Eric says that he loved the conversation and my expertise. Yeah, advocate fiercely for yourself when you know something is wrong. Oh, I'm going to pop it up. Sorry. That's even better. Advocate fiercely for yourself. All right. Oh, the men ignored the cis women. Oh, good on you. So you made sure the cis women were heard. Got it. Same with me. What's so fascinating that, because then you have cisgender women, you have turfy people who are like, you don't understand our situation. And it's like, we're the ones who notice it, babes. What are you thinking? So anyway, 2 hours in, I'm ready to end it. Thank you so much to everybody, to Eric, and we had Ella, and definitely Alice. Alice, I would love to see you again. Oh, when am I next live? So my schedule is generally Sunday at 2, and Sunday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, sorry. And then Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. But again, if you wanna reach out to me, you can send me. Oh, I can hide that now. You can send me an email through my website or whatever. It'd be awesome to connect with you for sure. But I will be here on Tuesday, so it's Sundays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And you are not the one in the UK, because I figure the one on Tuesday might be a bit late. But and that's that. Next on Tuesday, I swear we really will On Tuesday, I think it's Erica and me talking about music. We were gonna Erica R, normally on the show here, or normally in the comments. We're gonna talk about some music, and that'll be kind of fun. And then I swear I'll go back to playing the video game, because I think that's fun too. So, all right, that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see you on Tuesday. This has been a blast. I'm so happy I get to do these kinds of things, and people even show up. So that's fun. Thank you so much. Bye.